There we go. All right, it's a feel good Friday morning here on Smooth 98.1. This is your love music, love life, love sports station as well. 12th of December 2025, 12, 17 minutes past 8 a.m. And we are ready to get into the world of sports. You know how we do on a Monday, on a Wednesday, and on a Friday as well. We get to talk about what's been happening in the beautiful world of sports, looking back on events and looking forward to what's to come as well. My name is Ayokunmi Kekiriako. Welcome into another amazing edition or installment of the show, anyhow you actually want to look at it. We'll be looking at a couple of things today, and we look forward to hearing from you always. So that is what makes the show even more exciting, really and truly. But you know that in the locker room, it is never Ayokumi alone. That's because I have joining me, even though she's not here with us in the studio, but she's still with us all of the way. The one, the only sports Amazon herself. Tega, I hope it's still four pack supreme. Tega, good morning to you.
Good morning. Yes, so it's four pack.
Just to confirm.
It's four pack. It's not playing hide and seek. It hasn't played hide and seek so far. But yes, four pack. All right. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes,
Woo!
so
I couldn't wait to say that. Oh, what are we going to talk about? So Super Eagles have whittled down that 54-man list, and they've left some names out. So we'll be talking about that this morning. In fact, we want to hear from you from the get-go. So we're talking about the Super Eagles list for the African Cup of Nations. When you hear it, what you think, how far you think that team is going to go. We'll talk about that inside the locker room this morning. We'll also talk about um, Mo Salah, because this weekend Liverpool faces Brighton. Is it big
right.
enough a match to bring him back, or are they going to keep it moving? We'll talk about that this weekend. We'll also, what else is happening this weekend? We'll talk about Real Madrid. They are looking for win, like people are looking for gold. They are digging deep. So we are going to talk about that. All of that and more coming up inside the locker room. But today, more than ever, we'd really like to hear from you what your thoughts are on our football stories. So with that in mind, Ayokumi, can you give them the numbers to send their messages to?
Oh, with pleasure, with pleasure. The number to send messages to on WhatsApp, it's 0911 999 0981. 0911 999 0981. That's on WhatsApp. You can also join the live stream on YouTube. Yes, we do stream on YouTube. You can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. And leave your comments there. Get that front row seat to all the action in the locker room. We always have fun right there. Okay, let us begin, Tega, this morning. As you talked about, the AFCON list has finally been dropped. Eric Chelle made the deadline, and he recalled goalkeeper Francis Uzoho and Trabzonspor striker Paul Onojiafe for the 2025 AFCON. So we have three goalkeepers, eight defenders, eight midfielders, and nine forwards for the tournament starting on December 21st.
Yeah, so the big deal is not that there are three goalkeepers. The big deal is that Maduka Okoye was dropped from this list, and Francis Uzoho was called in. So the question is, what led to Maduka Okoye being dropped? Now there's rumors, and I have to say rumors because that's what's swirling around now. Nobody has given us any. Nobody is speaking to anybody about anything, but there's rumors according to what is coming out of camp that Maduka Okoye requested to be dropped. I was like, based on
Hmm,
what?
that's odd.
Oh, exactly. Why would he request to be dropped? He didn't have any mental health issues recently. You know that last time Nigerians really went to his page and harassed his life. The last time he asked to be dropped, um, Nigerians went to his page that time to harass him a little bit. So when he asked to be dropped, that was understandable. But recently, he's been turning up in camp despite not getting the chance to play. Um, and so the question now remains, why is he asking to be dropped? There's no answer. They just said he begged to be dropped. So we don't know if that's true. And like I said, it's just rumors. But I do know one of the people from his camp, when the list came out, said this is a rubbish list. So that's not an official statement.
Hmm.
However, it alludes to the fact that maybe he didn't ask to be dropped. Maybe he was just dropped like normal, which is what is strange. Okay, all right. Um, what also shocked us was the Tolu Arokodare was also dropped.
Was that a shock though?
Yes, it will be a shock, and I will tell you for the simple reason. Um, he was dropped, and do you know this person? Do you know Salim Fago?
No idea.
So you are not saying Tolu Arokodare was dropped and Salim Fago. So why are you not shocked? Tolu Arokodare was dropped. At least you know the name. Salim Fago, you don't know the name.
And
Apparently, he has got. He has.
two
Is a
shocks can
striker
happen
who.
at the same time now. You can be shocked Tolu was dropped, and then be shocked that the other person was picked. So two shocks
Exactly.
can happen at the same
So
time.
Africa Cup of Nations, you're picking this guy. He has scored 5 goals in, I think, 26 matches for his club side. So he was picked. The question is now, why was Arokodare dropped? If this guy is not any better on paper. So you those are the issues. So in fact, somebody said that this list, it was to they conferred the complete 6 geopolitical zones. That was funny. Also, when you look at the list, you see some new names. Tochukwu Nadi, Ebenezer Kinsamiro. They are names you would have heard of if you listen to football shows about um, Nigerian players, but they are not familiar names. Again, so I'm saying this 54-man list that they came down with, it just doesn't reek of confidence.
Hmm.
So that is the problem. It's not that Nigeria, yes, we've made the list, we've shortlisted, but was this I'm going to try and pronounce Eric. I heard somebody call him Eric Chelle from Mali. He said it was Eric Chelle. But I think the one thing I'm going to ask him when I go to the AFCON is, tell us what your name really is. Are you Eric? Are you Eric Shell or Eric Chelle? So let us know. Chell or Chelle, whichever one it is. Is this his list? Where did he see these people from? So these are the questions we are going to have to ask. Maduka Okoye being dropped, Tola Arokodare being dropped for a Sterling Fago, who on paper is not a better striker. Um, the midfielders, where do you get your names from? The defenders, we understand that because there were injuries in the build up to the Nations Cup, and then there was
Mhm.
the retirement of Trustekong. There were always going to be new names in defense. So that one is not, the questions are not too much, but it also means that we may not have the strongest pairings at this African Cup of Nations, because these people have not really played together. So there are a lot of holes in the Super Eagles list. So we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts when you look at that Super Eagles list and going from the behind the story scenes I just gave you? Do you think that this team can go far? First of all, what are your thoughts on the list? And second, do you think that this team can go far? Those are the questions we are asking. The numbers to send your messages to are
0911 999 0981. We definitely would love to get your own perspective, because there have been so many reactions to this particular list. Who should have been there? Who was dropped? Who was picked? And so on. So
ah
I
ah
know you have your own
Selim
thoughts.
Fago. I'm like, Selim Fago from where? Who that?
It does come up like, surprise, I'm here.
Surprise, even civil dressers. I was surprised to see him there, because remember, after his appearance at the qualifiers and the reaction that he got, from Nigerians, I didn't think he was. In fact, he was the one person I thought would say, "Please count me out."
Drop me, please. I'm not doing it.
But his name is right there in capital letters. So it's an interesting list, is all I can say. But let's hear your thoughts. Let's hear your thoughts.
Hmm. Let's hear those thoughts. And while we wait for those thoughts, we can talk about what's been going on in other sports. Well, talking about the Olympics, basically, and the IOC have been speaking here. Well, youth athletes from Russia and Belarus should be allowed to compete for their countries at international events again. That's according to the International Olympic Committee. Do you agree with that, Tega?
So here is the thing. Um, it's not just well, this is what they're going to use to try and start this conversation of putting people back since the Israel issue. Um, they are trying to get you know athletes to compete under their own flag. I think a lot of people have brought up the conversation that I think even one sport has already lifted the ban on Russia. I can't remember the sport, but they had lifted the ban on Russia so that the athletes can compete under their flag. Um, but yes, what it is that IOC is recommending that their access to international competitions should no longer be restricted, and they should be able to play under their flag. So they're having these conversations, and after they have these conversations, then the different international federations will now decide whether they should carry it out. But they're saying these are young players who's who have dreamed of, you know, flying their national flag. They've not been
Yeah.
tainted, all that drama. You want to give them that national you want to give them that national pride, that passion to compete for their national teams. So the principle shouldn't apply, to youth to the youth teams. The ban should only go across, senior teams. And I'm just like, if you start with unbanning the youth teams, you are going to have to lift the ban on the senior teams.
Senior teams.
Now, one yes, because ultimately that's what it is. Some Russian athletes, especially in tennis, you notice that some Russian athletes are already competing for other countries. Potapova has moved to Austria. She's now competing under the Austrian flag.
No time.
No time. And that one again is also part of the issues they suffer, not coming from, well, representing these countries. Sometimes it's just easier to say, you know what, let them not be testing me, let my drug test not be like that from Russia. Let me just move. Because sometimes those tests can take extra because of what happened with the Russian Federation and doping.
Mm.
Then there's now the extra issue of the political issue of the invasion. It can be a little tedious to be a Russian athlete. So you see some athletes are already moving, but ultimately, what the IOC is trying to do is that for the youth teams, because of passion, because of national pride, and all of that, let's leave the young ones to compete under the flag. Now, it has not been lifted, it's just a conversation they're having. International federations will still have to put their mouth in it. But my
Yeah.
point is, it's such once you lift for the youth,
You have to lift
to
across
lift
board.
exactly, eventually it's not even far. Once you lift for the youth, before you know it, you're lifting across board. It's that simple. So what I think is that they're trying to get um Russians and Belarusians to compete under their own flag, but they're testing the water little by little, because there's still the issue of Ukraine.
Hmm. There's still the
And the
little
Ukraine,
issue of Ukraine.
yes, Ukraine was an invasion. So even if they are questioning the human rights fight of the Israelis, Israel was not an invasion. Ukraine was. So both of them have human rights issues. Three of them: Israel, Russia, and Belarus. They all are guilty of human rights issues. But with the Ukraine and Russia, it was a question of you invaded our country. So there's still that betrayal that the Ukrainians feel, and some other EU countries feel, that is at the top of the mind. So
Mm.
I think that's why they're testing the waters with the youth championship. They're just
Well,
like, let's see how this goes.
let's see how far they're willing to take this. Anyways, let's take our first breather this morning. And when we come back in, we'll be talking some football and Real Madrid in the spotlight as their manager, Xabi Alonso, is under pressure as Real prepare for a critical trip to Alaves. That and so much more on the other side. Stay with us. Why didn't they call
So
me for AFCON?
why they call what?
Why didn't they call me for AFCON?
What's happening in AFCON that you want to go?
I could have made Super Eagles list now.
Rather.
Ah, okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous list. I can almost guarantee that it's not a ridiculous list.
We know how these things work now. There was already speculation that the reason the list hadn't been released early enough was because lobbyists left, right, and center were, trying to get them
Yeah,
to fill
but
in.
it's the way they lobby with all these random names.
If you want to lobby with a good player now.
Do you understand? There's a kind of lobby like in England now. People are lobbying. Even the media is lobbying. So you see that they are putting names. They are covering some people's story more than some other people's story. Because do you understand? Those people have played. They've represented their countries. So
Mm.
they are putting their stories in there. So that England own is real lobbying. This Nigeria own is just man no man.
Country just
It's
tire me.
ridiculous. The thing just tire me. I said, who on earth is selling Fago? Who is that? Is that the name of milk? Ashe, there he is, right in the middle of the list.
uh,
And they dropped Toli Arokodare that we at least know has scored goals for the Super Eagles.
a
I'm just
number of
like,
people
nah.
I've spoken to have said, if they go past the group stage, that would be that would be a good surprise. And I'm like, ha.
I'm telling you, people are just going for their 3 matches. And like I remember I told you that Nigeria has a very large contingent because now Morocco is like Europe. We know they waste time to travel. So there's a large contingent of Nigerians going to Morocco, all for
Just
3 matches. Well, the Selim guy may shock us, and the Sheyi in the midfield may shock us too. Let's set our minds to be shocked. But I didn't expect to see new names in the midfield because there are not too many injuries. Do you understand? I
that
didn't
makes you
expect to
step
see.
to ask Oma.
Do you understand? I didn't expect to see new names in the midfield. I didn't expect to see new names in the striking position. Alas, they said, Tega, you don't know. You don't know anything.
Not be Nigerian football. Okay.
We will chuck you.
Are
We will chuck the living daylights out of you. I was
you
like, okay, let's
sure
just
not
do
going to
what we
disgrace
know.
us? You sure not going to
No,
disgrace
no,
Nigeria?
I don't know why you keep saying disgrace us. Who is us? Anything
Us
that they
now.
play is for, it's for themselves and their career. I'm telling you, I will chest any banter because it's Super Eagles.
You are
I've
that
already
immune. Oh, God. Yeah, that's immune now. God have mercy. Anyways, let's go. Alrighty,
prepared.
and
I
we're
prepared
back.
myself mentally.
It's a Friday
I've
morning,
conquered.
people. News 98.1. Love music, love life. 36 minutes past 8 a.m. Having a great time in the studio. Yours truly, Ayokunmi here. Tega Supreme is also with me. Yes, she is breaking it down for us and making sense of everything going on in the sporting world. You get to play a part in proceedings as well. So please do join us and let us know your thoughts. We talked about the Super Eagles final list for the AFCON, and we'd love to get your own armchair analysis as well. Are you in agreement? Do you feel that list is up to par? Do you think that some names should be there, some names should not be there, and so on and so forth? Please let us know. share those messages with us on WhatsApp on 0911 999 0981. Also, leave your comments on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Those are the platforms where you can share your messages with us this morning. We love to hear from you. All right, Tega, let us talk about Xabi Alonso because that is a man who is under pressure. And he faces that ahead of a La Liga visit to Alaves on Sunday after a collapse in form has left his side second in the standings, 4 points behind
4 points behind
Barcelona.
Barcelona. We must talk about that. And the fact that he can't seem to buy a win. Now, let me say all the Alonso banter, we can talk about all the struggles that Alonso has had as a coach. But if you watch the Manchester City Real Madrid match on Wednesday, you're just like, you know what? There's not much this guy can do. Because think about it. Vinicius Jr. was so bad that even chances that an average Joe would bury or passes that an average Joe will make, Vinicius Jr. couldn't make it. And you're just looking like, how, Vinicius Jr. alone swallowed 3 chances that should have been goals.
Hmm.
Can you remember, especially in the second half, that should have been goals. Even the crosses that he was supposed to make, didn't make them. It was a poor display by Vinicius Jr. So when you look at that, and then the fact that he had to now keep Kylian Mbappe on the bench for moral support, I've not heard that one because Kylian obviously couldn't play. They knew that before the match. There's a reason he missed training. He's struggling with a knee injury, so it's painful. Me, I know how knee is. Remember, I was telling you, Ayokunmi, how I tweaked my knee when I was bending down to pick weight. I'm not
Hmm.
playing football, oh. When I wake up, I first limp before before the knee will now straighten. You can imagine a professional footballer with a knee injury trying to run with that. It's not happening. So they are claiming it's a niggling knee issue, as if it is not a big deal. So he obviously wasn't going to play in the match, but so that the other team will feel like at some point Mbappe is going to come in, and maybe the fans psychologically is the only reason I think they put him on the bench. So he didn't have that at his disposal, and then he brought in Endrick, and I can't blame Endrick too much because Endrick, even because of his lack of minutes on the pitch, he was rusty. And so when 2 chances fell to Endrick that I thought he would bury to prove a point to Alonso, he
Mhm.
missed them. And so when you watch the match, you're like, okay, let's blame Alonso for selecting this team. But at some point in time, you're just like, these players are also, it's not that these players are trying to sabotage you because these are chances that they would have buried. And then you look at the brain fart that Rudiger had. You are hugging Erling Haaland on the pitch as if you have not seen a giant of a striker before. You look at all those errors and you're just like, you know what? Xabi Alonso is a problem, but this Real Madrid player, they have to look in the mirror. At
Hmm.
some point, they have to say, you know what? We don't want to lose again. We are sick of losing matches and get themselves. Except they want to fire the coach. Then I understand. I understand the poor performance that they are doing. If that's their purpose to fire the coach, so ultimately it's a tough one. And then this weekend they face a tough team like Alaves, who can come in and make life difficult for you. Alaves is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Now, in any other season, I would have said Real Madrid is definitely getting 3 points. This season, I don't know what they're getting. I don't know what to say that they're getting. And to make matters worse, Barcelona is playing against Osasuna. So, on paper, Osasuna is an easier opposition
Opposition.
than Alaves. Yes. So when you look at both teams, it may be, if you are a Real Madrid fan, you may begin to think that the gap is going to stretch longer this weekend. But this is football, and anything can happen. The match we may expect Barcelona to win may be tough for them, and they won't win it. So let's see how it works out. But it's certainly tough times for Xavi Alonso. I don't envy his therapist or whoever else he's talking to.
He definitely he definitely needs therapists, more than one therapist at this point in time, because that Real Madrid job, it is a high pressure one. So this weekend in La Liga, it's going to see some interesting action. Let's take it from a team that has issues in La Liga to what's going on in England. And We're going to Merseyside, where Liverpool's crumbling Premier League title defense faces another stern test when Brighton and Hove Albion visit Anfield on Saturday. But the real drama surrounds Mohamed Salah, whose explosive outburst has left the Egyptian winger's future under scrutiny.
In fact, I'm even shocked that he's still in England. I
We
said
told him to
they've
enter the
opened.
plane now.
Exactly. They've opened the borders in Morocco. He can go early to give moral support to his team, but it's a tough one for Mo Salah because the people that matter, most of the pundits that talk about the issues with Mo Salah seem to be leaning towards nobody's bigger than the club. Nobody's bigger than the club. I'm telling you, please, Mo Salah has earned the right to say certain things. I don't care what people say. Before Arne Slot, there was Mo Salah. So if you ask me, this treatment that he's getting, I'm just watching them because at the end of the day, there's still some players that are on the end of their contracts with Liverpool. These kind of things trickle down, and you add that to how they traded Diaz last season. I mean, Nunes is not a problem. Trading Nunes was not an issue, but Diaz, people are just like, you did that. And now you're doing this to Salah. Maybe Liverpool is not the place for me. It doesn't help for, I wanted to say, doesn't help for employee, for boosting more the moral. It doesn't help as a moral booster for the employees, but it's a
Right,
tough
right.
one. So this weekend they play against Brighton and Hove, and Brighton and Hove is not a team to be joked around with. So when you think about teams that can upset the apple cart, even when teams are in good form, you think Aston Villa, you think Brighton and Hove, they are one of those teams. And so it's not an easy fix. Now, because they are not an easy team to face, the question is, would that push and a slot to say, you know what, maybe Mo Salah can feature in this one? Those are the questions they need to answer because yes, they had a good win, but again, remember it was a late penalty against Atletico Madrid in the UEFA Champions League, just like
Hmm.
they scored a late free kick against Arsenal in the EPL. So it's not like they exceptionally or confidently brushed Atletico Madrid aside. So you can't say they can use that confidence and they're back in form. No, they're still a team that's struggling with form, especially in the Premier League. And so to face a side like Brighton and Hove at this moment, I think you need your best players, even if they are not in great form. So let's see how it turns out because Isaac has not delivered on his promise. Ekitike is behaving like my power supply. Good sometimes, very bad sometimes. Um, and so you want to call on the trusted name, the guy who delivered 34 goals for you last season. The least you can do. So let's see what this fixture does for Mo Salah's career, especially
Mm,
at Liverpool.
most definitely. I think that whatever happens, whether he features on in that game or not, will determine where his career lies, where his future lies at the end of the day. If he's not on that team sheet, well, I don't know what else to make of
It will
that.
be tough. Oh.
Mm, indeed,
All right,
indeed
we,
it
we would
will.
have we don't we're out of time, but let's take our time to talk about this weekend is also a Crystal Palace Manchester City fixture. Again, one of the teams that can make your life hard in the Premier League, Crystal Palace. The good news for Crystal Palace for Manchester City is that they're Manchester City, not Liverpool. Crystal Palace seems to have had the number of Liverpool for a few fixtures now. So that's going to be an interesting one to see on Sunday afternoon. Yes, Manchester City taking on Crystal Palace. Manchester City winning against Real Madrid, definitely a moral booster. Just 2 points behind Arsenal. Definitely a motivation for them to do well. But Arsenal face Wolverhampton Wanderers this weekend. Everybody say 3 points.
In fact,
So
three
it
points,
looks
3 points on how many goals?
exactly 3 points and how many goals, and that so it looks like a tougher fixture for Manchester City, but they want to keep up. They want to keep that gap close between them and Arsenal. So Crystal Palace is going to be a tricky one, and that's another match to look out for this weekend. On that note, let's take your messages and wrap up.
All right, let's take the messages. A number of them have come in here. This is from Oluwase, who says, Hi, Tega and Ayo. Let me be the first to inform you guys that we're not winning the AFCON with that politically correct squad, which has always been a problem with the national team, as with a lot of other things we do in this country. But you can hope, though. Just know it's the hope that kills. It is hardly ever about competence in Nigeria, and we live with the results of such decisions every day. As for the ICC's whispered suggestions, I'll say no to it, even though there's always double standards in these things, like when the US and other Western countries had fully invaded other countries like Iraq, Vietnam, and more, or merely dropped bombs on other countries without similar repercussions. Yet, I still need Russia and their less fancied Man Friday Belarus to remain banned. Yes, it's not fair, but it is what it is. This is Bobby in Kano. Hey, Bobby, good morning to you. He says, I sincerely expected that the right pronunciation of the name Chelle or Chelle would be the first thing Nigerian journalists would have helped us know from the time he got hired. Ah, this is Emeka who says Maduka Okoye is probably having PTSD over what happened to him in the AFCON because it was brutal. Nigerians are people with no mercy. How Iwobi survived the last AFCON was also a miracle. As for the goalkeepers, I pray Nwabali is fit all through because if I see Francis Uzoho on that post, I'll go into panic mode. This is Awa Oniniru who says Salim Fago featured for the Flying Eagles of Nigeria at the Under-20 World Cup. If he did, I don't see why he should be that. I don't think any player in that Under-20 team has any business being in Super Eagles. I beg. With what I saw, please. You can have a different opinion, but for me, I don't think so
Which
at
the
all.
other 20, none. So going back to the person that asked about the coach's name, so you do know that he lived in France for a while, and so the French would call him Eric Chelle. Um, but is it and in Mali they speak French, but is it a French name or is that a French pronunciation? That's the question.
That's the question.
So
Mm.
before you go out and carry your machetes and start chasing the Nigerian journalists, you have to understand that that's what people officially called him. The only difference is, like I said, I heard a Malian pronounce it differently. Sorry, it's a Malian. That's not a. I heard somebody from Mali pronounce it differently before. Before I say Malian and you think I'm talking about the Nigerian musician, I heard somebody from Mali pronounce it differently.
Oh,
And so my
goodness
question
gracious.
is, so it made me to ask whether it was a name from indigenous Mali that people are pronouncing the French way, and
Mm.
French is also the official language in Mali. So my question is, I want to ask Eric Shell, Chelle, what is it?
Exactly. All right, Tayo just says it's like they're going to pour water on our heads during this AFCON because only Eric Sekushel knows his strategy, and he shouldn't tell us it's voodoo that stopped him. I don't think there's any player from our domestic league. All the best. I might just pick up interest in cricket or badminton just to lower my expectation. Hey, I wouldn't blame
I
you,
like
Tayo.
the visual picture of pouring water on our heads.
This is Ayo from Amur who says, Good morning to the beautiful Tega and the fine gentleman Ayo. Thank you very much. Good morning. I think the 50-man list was a welcome development because a team that could not qualify for the World Cup should be reshuffled. But I'm not having my hopes high for this AFCON. If we make it out of the group stage, I will be shocked. Despite the 50-man list, what was really different in the 28-man list at the end of the day? Hmm. Stan
Mm-hmm.
says, even if the Super Eagles carry Mbappe, Pedri, and Yamal, now group stage will come house. No faith in
Yeah.
Eric Shell, no faith in Eric Chile or Colombia. Why you guys like this? Why? Let me go to YouTube very quickly. Pablo Payo says, how far Eagles will go, okay? We'll leave at the first round. Real Madrid hasn't sacked Xabi yet. Wow. Salah should travel already. He'd be benched. Uchina Okoye says, that Arokodare guy is not a bad striker. It's sad that someone has to be dropped. What surprise does the league have this weekend? Which coach is getting sacked on Tuesday? Hope none, Sha. Madrid. Hmm. David Dazzle says, Ayo, can you play ball? David, you have no idea. I'm not semi-retired right now, not as young as we used to be. LK Adorogba says, I agree with Tega. Slot is the problem and not Salah. He's handled the whole situation badly, and he just threw Salah under the bus. Terrible management. And Kunle Dokpo says it was Inter. We're saying Atletico was Inter
Oh, sorry, it
who
was
played in
Inter. Thank
yeah.
you. Sorry.
Thank you, Kunle. Even I did not notice that for some reason. Oh, okay, let me take it. Let me see. I think okay, that's all the messages here on YouTube. And this one on WhatsApp from Mohammed. Mohammed, I won't take the message not because I'm afraid of the truth. I don't like the truth. We're talking about sports here. Don't carry us into a geopolitical conversation that is not necessary in the locker
Oh,
room.
I was expecting this reaction when I started talking about the Russia issue. I knew that Mohammed was going to come out
So
and try
so so
to.
I'm stating it clearly. If I don't read your message, it's because I don't want to. It's not relevant to the conversation. So there,
All right. So
just
on
putting it
that
out
note,
there.
want to say thank you so much for sending in those messages, including Mohammed's message. Thank you for tuning in to Smooth 98.1 FM to listen to the locker room. So we'll come your way on Monday. Remember, this weekend is club football. Pray that your team is not fodder for banter. On that note, go out there and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you so much, Tega. Have a great Friday and a great weekend as well. And thank you all for being a part of the locker room this morning here on Smooth 98.1. Always a fun time being with you on the radio. My name is Ayokunmi Kikirek on the Feel Good Friday. Fun continues on the Smooth Breakfast. Stay